Howdy. No. Isn't it weird how things just pop in your head when you let yourself go?
I'm not going there.
Okay, so we're talking again. Watch out, obviously. This is Deborah Colleen Rose. That
Mm.
is Luann Morris. We're live, pre-recorded at the Crystal. What did I decide I was going to call this? The Clear Point Crystal Studio.
That's it. The Clear Point Crystal Studio.
So tell them what we're doing today.
Well, I usually talk about emotional things, but I suggested maybe maybe we talk about what has become harder for us as we got older. What what difficulties do we have maybe that we didn't have 10 years ago or 20 years ago? Oh, I'm sorry. And
What are you sorry about?
you didn't hear that big buzzing noise?
Uh-uh.
Oh, good. I'm glad you didn't hear it.
Did you fart?
I had the dryer going.
Buzzing.
Yeah.
Dang. What the hell. Okay.
So one of the things that I notice for me in particular is um my body has become less flexible,
Yeah, me too. That's my
you know?
biggest complaint.
And I really told myself when I retired, what was that, 4 years ago now? Time flies when you're having fun. That I would do some yoga and keep myself flexible because when I was at work, it was up ladders, down ladders, reaching for things, getting on the floor. I had to
Are you
squat to
talking about
get.
your sex life?
No, I'm talking about my job.
Well, you set up down ladders and on the
Well, I
floor.
did. I mean, it was like being in a warehouse a lot of times when you're out trying to find things and you have to get on a ladder and go to the top and you have to uh, uh, a lot of times in the refrigerators and the incubators, I had to squat down and get on the bottom shelf, and I stayed very flexible
Well,
because
I've never been a really flexible person, but I've been really not I wouldn't even call it athletic, but I was in good shape. I did taekwondo. I could kick a lot of people's butts. I
Mhm,
could bench press more than weight than a woman should be able to. I have a lot of muscle mass for the average woman. I think I was supposed to be a boy and something got inverted or whatever, never quite did right. Because I'm really built like my grandfather in a lot of ways. I have
mhm,
broad shoulders, broad hips, all that. But one of the, and then, I developed fibromyalgia. So I've always lived with pain, but I
mhm.
was able to ignore it. And then I got really, really overweight and got really immobile because of that. And then I dropped all the weight. Took me several more years to kind of manage the fibromyalgia better. But now, as I'm getting older, I just don't have the flexibility that I had. And I stretch and not like I should and do things, but not like I should. And, you don't get the same results as quickly like you used
Right.
to. And,
Well, certainly,
so I always go, is it a tumor or is it cancer or is it fibromyalgia or am I getting old? What is it? I
yeah.
never know what's causing the pain or the whatever. So,
But I had fibromyalgia diagnosed for me before I moved to Dallas, so before 1999, and I lived with a lot of pain. But it seems like that I have finally changed my diet enough that I'm not having that fibro pain. And I think with taking the ashwagandha, I'm not having the brain fog anymore.
yeah,
So
me too.
so I feel better in those respects. But of course, the minute I retired, I got really lazy and I put on 30 pounds really fast.
It's not hard to do, is it?
Yeah, no, it's not. Uh, and I mean, I would count my steps. I would probably do 8 to 10,000 steps a day when I was. Of course, now they've done studies that doesn't really help you. So, but it was just staying active, staying mobile, staying. Um, I have less stress.
Well, you know what I read the other day? This is hilarious. I'm going to start doing it in my backyard because I don't want anyone to see me do it. They said if you will do 10 minutes of walking, doing the Monty Python walk 2 to 3 times a week, that is better than walking 30 to 40 minutes. And you know what the Monty Python is? So you're like throwing your arms up like this and throwing your legs out and just walk.
Oh,
Ridiculous. Just,
yeah.
crazy. And I'm like, I can do that for 10 minutes just because it'll make me laugh. If I'm laughing, I can do anything for a long period of time.
Yeah,
So
you would kind of feel a little odd throwing your arms around. Your neighbors might call the police and
I
say
don't
that
care.
you're off your meds.
I don't care. Let them. But so that does bring something to mind. You know what I am having problems with is that I have had chronic back pain even as a child. From my lower back, and I have 2 herniated discs that they told me about years and years and years ago, and I've had the shots and crap and physical therapy and crap and in fact they told me about 25 years ago that my back was deteriorating and I was going to wind up being in a wheelchair in about 2 years. Well, that didn't happen, mind over matter.
Mm-hmm,
But it is difficult for me to just walk for the sake of walking. My
mm-hmm,
my hips give out on me.
mm-hmm.
And so, I have to do other type of exercise. And then because I've had so much damage to my legs because of accidents and different things, I can't get in the floor and get on my knees. It's like hot pokers going through my legs. But that's been that
Yes,
way since I was in my 20s. So that's not an age thing. It's just a health thing.
yeah,
So
but because of my arthritis that I guess, just decimated my knees. I have 2 artificial knees, and anytime I try to get on the ground with my knees, it's like, ow.
they don't
It's
tell you that. They don't tell
no,
and you're like, why does that hurt? There's nothing there. It's metal. Why does that hurt?
because you're pinching your skin and muscle between the metal and the floor.
Well, they ought to put a cushion in there or something. you know, they ought to be able to do something, you know, take the nerves out, deaden them. I don't know, something.
I don't know either, but I think that I would feel more, those things that construction workers put on their knees
Yeah.
because they're up and down and they're on concrete and
They're called knee pads.
yes, I wore those to clean house one time and I was like, yes, that's
Did that
great.
help? Because
Yes.
it seems like it would still be pressure on your knees on something hard. So it seems like the pads would hurt
But the
too.
pads give when, I didn't get hard. I got the really soft foam ones.
So I just need to wrap myself in bubble wrap or something.
Yeah, that's it. Bubble wrap. There you go.
I was also watching this on the news last night that they were talking about people that are healthy into their 90s, even
Hmm.
up to 100. And it's not just about diet, it's also because they're finding out that there's like huge groups of people that fit into this category based upon where they live. So it's diet, it's climate, it's the type of stress they live with,
Hmm.
it's how active. They had this 90-year-old woman out there chopping wood, and I'm like, well, she has to chop wood or she's gonna die. She doesn't really have much of a choice, does she?
Yeah.
Because she's
She
up in the
probably
boonies.
chops wood to heat her home.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Hey, I can see your cleavage.
What?
Yeah, you got cleavage.
Yes, I do.
I know.
I always have had it.
I
Well,
used
I
to.
think that we can I think that we can work on ourselves even when we are older. I mean, I've seen um, chair yoga and chair exercises, and I think it's just keeping yourself moving and keeping everything oiled.
Well, one of the things I noticed the other day is they said you should be able to stand on one leg for 20 seconds.
Oh,
I haven't
sure.
been able to do that for years. So I'm like, okay. They just said, you just keep doing it. You just keep doing it till you can. So I have been doing that for a week now, and I can actually stand on my left leg for 20 seconds. Now, on my right leg, I can do it for 15 seconds if I put my finger on the desk. Just a finger. I had to have that finger there, and there's a lot of pressure on that finger, but I can tell that there's a difference already. So, and I've been doing stretches and I've been doing some chair yoga. The problem I have is I get bored, and so I'm not consistent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not consistent.
Yep.
So I think what we need is we need to pool our money, put our money together, and hire a physical therapist that's about 27, muscular, to come see us a couple of times a week and help us do stretches and help us with our posture, maybe fix us lunch, take his shirt off and serve it to us. Come on, you'd love that, and you know it. Don't act all prim and proper. Give me a break.
Well, okay, but
Okay, sign me up. This is what she's thinking. You don't fool me for a minute.
oh,
Speaking of which, though, okay,
yes.
so you know, I meet a lot of people in public for the different things that I do. And one of the common questions that comes up for a lot of women, especially women that have been through a divorce recently, is when will I meet a guy?
Mm-hmm.
When will I meet a guy? I'm shocked at how hard it is for women to meet men. I've never had a problem doing that, and I'm not an overly attractive woman. In fact, I've always said that I was just cute enough for people not to throw me a bone. Okay. So, but even when I was grossly, and I mean that word literally, grossly overweight, I always had men that would flirt with me and ask me out. And even now that I'm an old woman, I have young men flirt with me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, serious flirting, not just, oh, look, isn't she a cute old woman? I mean, serious
Mm-hmm.
flirting, and give me their phone numbers
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. And so I think my whole point of this is that I think everything has a foundation in your attitude.
Mm-hmm.
I think
I
attitude is
believe that.
everything, you know. Like
So,
the woman that was chopping wood. Her attitude is, I have to do this to cook, and I have
mm-hmm.
to have wood to keep myself warm. So she's going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And some of it is um I just lost my train of thought, Deborah. The train
Woo!
the train derailed.
Is there any toxic chemicals on that train?
Shoot. The dogs are running and barking. The mailman must be here. Um
The
I
caboose
just
has lost the train.
hmm, I I'm amazed. I was on a dating site for a while, and I was amazed at the number of men between 45 and 55 that would want to go out with me. I'm like, did you notice my age? Did you, you know,
Yeah.
is that a factor? Or did you? Yeah, I saw that. Oh, okay. All right.
Which brings
So,
me to the point, why do all these women have all this plastic surgery? Because I just don't think that, they say society is obsessed with looks. I don't think society is obsessed with looks. I think women are obsessed with looks. And the people that drive the merchandise that they sell to women are obsessed with looks to make women
right.
buy that. I don't think men give a shit.
Well, a lot, I mean, some of it is attitude, some of it is personality, some of it is how old are you right here? I'm not my age in thought and the way I do things and the way I dress.
Well, can I be crude for a minute?
Yeah, go ahead.
I asked for a
Be
change.
yourself. Be yourself.
Okay, I'm an experienced woman. Okay.
Mhm.
And not once have I ever had a male tell me that they did not want to be in intimate company with me because I did not have a Brazilian wax.
No,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And I don't believe any of them ever got down there with a flashlight to see if I had a bleached asshole.
That's never come up in conversation, no.
No, no, so, okay, so the thing about it is that it's even shocking to me to hear me say that out loud. So the fact that people even know that something like that exists for them to go do is surprising to me. How do they find out about these trends? I mean, because women were doing stuff like that before TikTok, before,
Mhm.
social media and things like that. And, just like, okay, I'm just going to go there today. I'm just going to go there today. Like feminine washing. Women used to use Lysol and bleach water so that they would be cleaner. You know, how did they know that? I don't remember anyone in my family ever saying, "You better get some Lysol out because you're smelling really fishy."
Yeah, well, no, and, I didn't know any of that because my mother was not gonna discuss it with me.
Well, why?
And my friends certainly didn't talk about it.
I mean, there are definitely issues because there's diseases that need attention, and I'm not saying we shouldn't talk about it or things like that, but I mean, it's almost like people are so bored and unchallenged with other things that all they can do is sit around and think about what they can do to not better themselves necessarily. Maybe they think they're bettering themselves, but to change themselves. I mean, a great example is Madonna on the Grammy Awards the other night. She didn't even look like herself. I'm not saying she
Really?
looked bad, but she didn't look like her. I don't want to look like somebody else. I don't want it to look like my skin is pulled so tight that if I laugh too hard, it's going to split open, you know? And some of these women get these cheek implants. You're like, oh my God, that looks like a big cyst. They need to pop that. That's just too big. Get that thing
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, I've seen some things that I think, "Why?" And a lot of lip fillers, and it just it
I
changes their
know.
face.
It's like now, if any woman has thin lips, you know that she's got natural lips. If she
Mhm,
doesn't have lips, you know she's got lip filler. I mean, it's like either or almost.
mhm.
And I'm just like, when did that become a thing? Why is that a thing? And, all I can think about is, okay, 2,000 years from now, they're going to excavate somebody's grave, and there's going to be bones in there, and then these big silicone bags and little whatever those implants are made out of and things laying in their coffin. And they're going to think, oh my God, they were half, computers back then, half robots.
Well, I did see something the other day about one of the Kardashian girls, because they're always trying to keep up, how that she had had cheek implants, and they think that when she had her last child, she had them taken out, and then they were like, "Oh my God, can you see how her skin is sagging?" I thought,
Oh,
"Don't you have anything else to do?"
I got a turkey neck. Thank
I
God
do,
for the
I do
fingers on
too.
Zoom.
I'm gonna
But
get, I'm gonna get some of those things to pull them up. No,
That's what they used to do in Hollywood in the 30s and 40s. So they get that neck tape. And there's a movie, I just love this. It's My Big Fat Greek Wedding. It's the sequel. And all the women are older and they go, okay, let's pose for a selfie. Grab my neck and pull it back. And they all grab each other. It looks like they're all embracing. But what they're doing is they're grabbing each other's necks and pulling the skin back.
well, I just have, um, I am who I am. I've just learned to embrace my fluffiness.
I got junk in the trunk.
I well, and and a tire in the middle.
I
So
don't have that because of my surgery, thank God. But, it didn't help my back as much as I wanted it to.
I'm surprised you still have the pain after you had the reduction.
Well, I don't in my shoulders and stuff. That's gotten a lot better, but I still have it no, it's
Lower
not the
back.
lower back, it's really in the hip area.
Oh,
Um, where, in the glutes, the lower glute areas, but I've had a
but
lot of damage there.
I that may be simply because of the nature of your hips and the pain that you experience there. Uh, you know,
Well,
Good.
I had a horse riding injury when I was 5. And of course, I come from an old fashioned family, so I was whipped. and I was whipped with hard things. So that could account for it, my doctor says. I've been in numerous car accidents, and I was never the driver. I'm an excellent driver, which is probably one of the reasons why I drive most of the places I go now. So I've been beaten. I've been beaten with a baseball bat and took a lot of damage to my back when that happened. So, my body's been through a lot.
Well, and that's the sort of thing, injuries, I think as we get older, don't improve, you know? So,
The biggest thing with age that I've noticed is that my skin is thinner. So when you get a
yes.
scratch, when it would heal like in 4 or 5 days, now it takes 7 to 10 days.
Yeah, and I'm surprised with the vitamins you take that you have that much trouble with your skin because um I have trouble with my skin, but that's because I don't give enough vitamin C.
Well, I may need to up that, but mine are always real deep because, like, okay, like I have one on my arm right there that I got caught on Gemma's claw, and I mean, so it's not like a scratch; it was like a gouge, because she's got those big old, and I mean, she can slap you, she could bitch slap you to sideways to hell and back, that big paw. So, I don't know how to do anything easy. It's going to be hard.
Well, you may not, it's starting to fade, but back in
Back in the
2000
old days.
2005 is when it happened. I have this scar on my arm where I ran into a whiteboard, and they have those little trays at the bottom to put your markers. And so it's the shape of the tray.
Yeah.
And and all I did was run into it. And yes, it cut me, but was not deep. But the scar is still there.
I have scars from when I was 5 years old on my body still. Being so fair skinned, I would scar and they'll fade, but you can still, like, this is 30 years old. I've got one here where I fell and got a concussion, and that is 35 years old, and if you hit the light just right when I'm taking the picture, you can see this big, huge gash. Looks like Frankenstein's monster scar,
So what you're telling me is that's genetics.
Yes.
Okay.
I guess I could have just said that, huh?
So we have to fight our genetics as we get older, yes?
Yeah.
Or are
Oh,
we
and I'm
fighting our
Viking.
genetics all the time?
I'm Viking. I found that out in Genome Leak yesterday. They said you're 67% Viking DNA.
Wow. Okay. So my ancestors came from Ireland, Scotland, England, and Germany.
Well, then you're probably Viking too, because the Vikings, the Viking DNA, the way I understand this, I'm not an expert. The way I understand, the Viking DNA is one of the oldest DNAs in our world history. Then you have the Far East DNA, and then you have the African DNA. So they kind of group it into three main areas. And then the Vikings, they went into, Norway, Denmark, they went into the British Islands, and then they also went east. So there's some India DNA and Mongolian DNA that goes back to Vikings as well.
Yeah.
So
Who was Genghis Khan?
Genghis Khan.
I think he had like 100 children or something. He spread his sperm wide.
He was a farmer and spread his seed to
All
propagate.
over. and really they say that that's where a lot of the Mongolian DNA comes from, was that group of men that wandered
That
the tundra.
explains a lot to me on where throat singing came from. I'm not even going to go there. I'm just going to let people wonder what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah, good. I think you should. They can look it up.
You
They
know,
can
though.
Google it.
I got a
They
new
can
book,
Google it.
Viking Vampires.
Oh Lord. Okay.
I had to buy it when I saw the title because I love Vikings and I love vampires.
Okay, there you go.
Look at the picture though. That's who we should hire to do our stretches with us.
Yeah, yeah. Can
This
we
is probably
find
one.
somebody about 45 though?
I like 27.
Oh,
This is probably one of the trashiest books I've ever bought in my life. Yeah, I see a lot of writhing, throbbing people in here. So
is it like a graphic novel? It has pictures?
no, I was just scanning the words. But you trust them to protect the town? Why, yes, I do. His eyes darkened, pulling me into their inky blue depths. To try and woo you away from me? Yes. I wouldn't ever. Why would he think such a thing? Oh, yeah, that'll be fun.
Yep, I have some fun books like that too.
I don't read books like that very often, but just a Viking vampire. I'm like, okay, what are they going to do with that? I just had to find out.
It would
You
be
know,
interesting. Yeah.
I usually
But
read really serious books, and frankly, I'm just sick of them. I'm sick of bettering myself or bettering other people or finding out what transcendental, mind control can be. I'm just tired of all that crap.
transcendental mind control. Good
Yeah.
Lord.
you know, and then you and I are taking that astrology course, and that's just bumming me out because it's so
Oh,
complicated.
bring your astrology stuff.
What stuff?
Your book.
Oh, the book that I got, my cheat
Yeah.
sheet. All right, I'll bring that. I had to go. Okay, so we're taking a course. I
Yeah.
make things too hard. And so we're taking a course. We're paying for a course. We're taking a weekly class. And she sends us notes, and they're great notes. But for whatever reason, I decide I need more. So I go out and buy 3 books to help me with this. And I'm like, why didn't you just do this in the first place? Why are you taking a course if you're just going to read the books?
But it's easier for someone to explain it to you. Then you read the book and go, oh, yeah, that's what that means. And so
So
you have
maybe learning's gotten harder as we gotten older. I don't know.
no,
I
I
don't think
think
it's harder. I
I
just think I'm making myself learn things that I wouldn't in the past because I like things being easy. So everything I learned was easy for me.
right. Well, I think that that's the other thing about getting older is you have to stay engaged in what's going on. I mean, there are people our age that don't know what to do with the computer. And
I
you and
find
I
that
are
hard.
very fluent in working with our computers and working with
Oh yeah,
different softwares. And I mean, so there are people our age that just like, I don't know what to do with a computer. And you're
yeah.
like,
I like to pride myself. I was one of the first small business owners in the DFW area to have a cell phone. Okay, and it was very necessary for my business. And I was one of the first small business owners in the DFW area to computerize my business. So I've always liked technology. That's always been my thing. I like
well,
things.
you know what my first computer was? A
A
Commodore
stone table.
64. A Commodore 64.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I was so interested in getting on the electronic highway, and that was even before we had internet and searches. And I wanted to write all my letters that way. I wanted to do my research that way. I wanted to write everything, type everything. And of course, my oldest son was 4 at the time, 4 or 5. So he played games on the computer.
Oh, no, I didn't let anybody touch my computer. It was business. I got my first computer in 84, 85.
That
I
was
don't
about
remember
the
what
time.
it was. I don't
Yeah.
remember kind of, but no, I
Well,
always have liked things like that. They intrigue me.
I took computer classes the first time I went to college in 74. And those were the IBM vacuum tube, use your data cards that you have to punch, data punch cards. Yeah. No one knows
Over
how
my
lucky,
head,
yeah, no
over
one
my head.
knows how lucky they are to push a button and to have everything at their fingertips.
Okay, so here's a fun fact. Here's a fun fact. So Luann is on, she's a traitor. No, I'm just teasing. She's on other shows.
I'm
And
diversified.
she's very diversified. She's very popular. She has a lot of things to share with a lot of people. And so she's on a thing called Blog Talk Radio or something like that. And they have several different types of shows. And one of them has a psychic medium, spiritual coach person on there by the name of Chuck Murphy. Okay. Well known in the metaphysical community, at least in DFW, probably in a larger area than that. I know Chuck not because of his metaphysical connection and because of my metaphysical connection with the community, but because back in the 90s, Chuck and his wife Sunny owned servers, and they had these things called BBSs, which was bulletin board something another.
Services, bulletin board
Yes.
services.
Yeah, bulletin board services that they sold. You bought a subscription to it, you paid monthly, and they had chat rooms, just like you know, you can get on there and now chat with groups on the computer or even your phone now and stuff. And you would log in, you'd have a pseudo name in reflecting what you like. They had different smaller groups you could join, and you would go and message people and chat them. And I think theirs was called Texas Talk, and they had a couple others that they did. That's how I know Chuck, from way back then.
And back when he was in radio.
Yes, he was doing radio up until recently, doing radio and voiceovers for commercials and things like that. And then they had the social center that they had 2 locations. And then, not knowing that they were the owners, I went and rented rooms there to teach classes, because I was teaching classes locally for the National Alliance of Mental Illness for Texas. And I was the education director, and I was renting rooms for them unbeknownst to me until I got there. But like, hey, so talk about small world.
We do a program called Ghost Talk on the 3rd Wednesday of the month on Blog Talk Radio, Make It So Network. And Chuck is our leader there. So
it was funny. Yesterday, I was working a party. Luann and I go to parties and share our gifts there to entertain people, but also to share what we really know and can expand upon to help people. And one woman, I was telling her about herself at this Galantine luncheon, and she goes, "Can you talk to the dead?" And I said, "Dear God, I try not to." I said, "I run away from real people that are alive, trying not to talk to them." You know how hard that would be not to talk to all those other people too. Don't want to talk to them. Don't want to.
Yeah, well, what's funny is, you know, that particular gift of mine is not developed as fast as some of my other gifts. But
well, I don't want it to. Do you really want it to? I don't want it
to.
to.
Yeah, I would like for it to develop a little more. Yeah.
Yes, if I can get control over it to where I can tune in and tune out and specify who I'm tuning in and out with, that would be awesome. But, you know, sometimes it's a hit or miss. Sometimes people show up when you least expect it or want it. I've had some good luck tuning into people that I wanted to specifically but then I've also had people show up and going, "You just don't even need to be in my area. Get the hell away from me."
But that's what that's what you do when you are using your gifts. You just have to say, "Not today." Not today, Satan.
Not today, Satan, and your little Satan minions, and you old drunks that are still trying to find booze in heaven. Get away from me.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think that one of the things that as we get older that we don't do is keep ourselves engaged. Take classes. What do you want to learn? Do you want to be with other people? Yeah, you do. You really do. You say you don't, but small groups are good because you have
groups of one. Groups of one.
No.
I like really deep connections. I like deep conversations. I don't like superficial talk. I don't like chit chat. I don't like arguing over politics. You know, I want to talk about the hereafter and how are we doing here compared to what will, kind of like what we do here a lot of times, and you can't do that with larger groups.
No, it's hard because everybody wants to talk at once, and no one wants to give you your opportunity to say what you believe. So,
Well, I'm usually so far out in the ozone that it's hard for me to find connecting points a lot of times. And I don't want to argue. I'm not going to argue. I don't want to change your mind.
no, I
I
just simply want to tell you what I believe and how I see it, and then I want you to tell me how you see it.
well, if they listen to me and they do a good job listening, it'll change their mind automatically. So I don't even try to.
I don't expect to change someone's mind. I just expect to give my opinion and what I think. And then if they change their mind, that's fine. But everyone is entitled to believe what they do.
I
It's
never
not my
argue with
job,
you, do I?
huh?
I never argue with you when we disagree on something, do I? I don't think we
Oh
argue.
no, we just sometimes you just have to. Okay, well, we're just gonna have to agree to disagree on that one.
No, I just tell you, well, you'll see it my way eventually.
And I just think to myself, no,
Well, no, that's not true. You usually do. You will call me later and go, you know what? You had a point there.
you had a point, but did I change my mind?
I don't know. Based on your actions, never. You never change your mind based on your actions. But at the same time, you always call me for my advice. Why is that? Hmm.
Some people they need to hear what they're saying. Do you know what I mean?
No.
I think things in my head, but if I don't have somebody to bounce it off of, what does it
Oh, I
sound
see. Okay.
what does it
All right.
sound like when it comes out of my mouth? Does it sound?
Silly.
Hey,
Silly. I know I got something in my eye too today.
my
What's that?
allergies are really bothering me today.
We don't really disagree on much. It's just that sometimes, in my opinion, we're just at different places on the learning curve because we have different circumstances we're dealing with. They're
Mm,
similar, but they're not, you know? And then you'll pull up things from your past that I can apply to my present and vice versa. Because
yeah.
it's like we're on a racetrack, it's like a go-kart racetrack, but I'm on the curve up here and you're on the curve down here. And then we pass and we're like,
Well, a lot of times when I'm reading for people, things from my past, pictures of my past will pop into my head, and I'm like, "Oh, do they need this? Do they need to know this lesson?" Probably because it just keeps popping back in over and over again, and you're like, "Okay, great. Well, what about blah blah?" And they're like, I thought about that.
well, so that kind of brings us to a good closing point. Even though we're getting older and there are things that are changing, the thing that I like that's changing for the better is that our lives now seem to have a point. When I was in my 20s and 30s and going through things that were heartbreaking and
Hmm.
hard, like when I was dating the bank robber, things like that. You're like, what is the point of this? Why is this happening? What am
Hmm.
I supposed to do with this? And now, everything that's ever happened to me, there is a valid point that I can bring to the table for someone sometime and say, this is what I learned from this situation. Do what you will with this information, you know?
Right. You give them your experience and how you responded and how it worked out for you. And if they want to use it, they can. If they don't,
Tough, tough titty.
you know,
Well, I mean, seriously,
it is.
I think people spend way too much time. Here's the other thing I think is good about getting older. And this is not true of a lot of people because old people are notorious for arguing. But I think that for a lot of people, as we get older, we don't have to convince people we're right.
Mm-mm.
And we don't have to, we just lay it out there and they can do what they want to with it and just be comfortable with it. I don't care if I change your mind. I don't care if you take my advice, and I'll give you the advice I can give you as often as you come and ask. But, eventually I'm going to lose my patience and say, look, go and do something because you keep repeating the same mistake. Go do something different. That you're insane. Doing something the same way over and over and expecting it to change is insanity. Do something with
Yes,
sanity back.
that's the definition of insanity.
You know? So
I've
I
done
think I'm
that
a
a lot
little,
this year.
yeah. I think I'm a little less tolerant of bullshit. I've never been very tolerant of bullshit, but I think I'm less tolerant of it now than ever.
Yeah, I know. I have heard myself go, you can stop blowing smoke up my ass because I know that you are lying to me. So don't lie to me. Just tell me the truth. Tell me
You know,
exactly how it is.
what does that saying mean? Think about it. First of all, your sphincter puckers. So how the hell do you get smoke up someone's ass to begin with?
Very
Think,
difficultly, because very,
and why? Why would you want to put smoke up that channel?
it's it's just an expression that
But why? But why is it an expression? Who came up with
I don't
that?
know.
And
I
why
don't
is
know.
it so popular?
It is popular, but it's like, don't be ridiculous is really what you're saying. Don't be ridiculous because I know you're lying to me. Just tell me the truth. Don't lie to me when the truth is better.
I know what it's inferring, but why? What are the roots to that?
I don't know where it came from. I just picked it up accidentally and now it's stuck.
Well, and then now we have people that actually bleach their buttholes. So see what that's led to.
Yeah, I don't understand that particular thing, but okay.
Yeah, yeah,
You
I
know,
don't get
just
it.
like
So
just like a Brazilian wax. I don't understand that either.
yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that one in depth because I have a lot of ideas behind the scenes on that, and
I
they're
mean,
not pretty.
if you're going to put wax and rip hair off, not there.
Well, why would you want to look like a child that has not gone through puberty yet? That's what bothers me.
I,
And you see, this is where 100 years ago in the 20s, 1920s, women used to buy toupees for their pubic area to make them hairier because that was considered sexy. So we've gone from one extreme, they were called merkins. So we've
it
gone
was
from one,
also it was also
I know that.
considered.
I don't know why I know that, but I do.
Well,
We've
that's
gone
the
from one,
craziest
look at
thing I've
you.
ever heard.
Google it, giggle it.
Okay, I'll giggle. But I think that
Okay,
there
here's something else that was in the news yesterday. Since we're talking about merkins and pubes and things like the cruise lines, the carnival cruises and things like that, have
Mhm.
asked that the gay community quit filming adult movies on the cruise ships. Now, my question for them is, how do they know that's what they're doing? And why are they peeking in on these people on their private trips?
Maybe because they're doing some things in public that are not.
Well, that's an arrestable act, and they can have them arrested and be done with it. I mean, seriously, do people just not have anything important to do anymore? Well, I guess we don't. Look at what we're doing. So,
Well, I mean, before when I was working, it was all about work and going home and cooking dinner. And I mean, I had lots to do to not think about cruise ships and what you're doing on the cruise ship. It doesn't really apply to me.
and if
If
you
it's
want me to
not
be an
within, if
adult
it's
movie, you
not,
better pay me. If you're going to put me in an adult movie, I want to get paid. You know, you know, this don't come cheap. What? Just say it.
mm-mm,
What?
not me. I'm not going there.
You know I'm bigger than you. You better be careful.
Just because you got a couple of inches on me doesn't mean you can take me.
Baby, I got some biceps. Look at that. Look at that. I can flex it. I still got it. Wow. I was cougar before cougar was cool.
Ah,
All right, I'm having fun, but it's time to go.
yeah,
Tell them
time to go. We've talked about getting old, and now we've just gone around the bend.
we've shown you the fun part of getting old. You can say whatever you want to and not give a shit.
Exactly.
I did that when I was 22. It's just now I have things that are better to say.
Well, now wait till I get 80 and I have no filter. At least
When I get
I
80, when I get 80, I'm gonna walk around and flash everybody. Oh wait, I did that in my 20s too. I'm gonna have to come up with something different to do.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm gonna marry somebody 20 years younger than me. That's what I'm gonna do.
Well, you better do it fast because all the men your age are dying.
Wow. Okay.
Scott's
No,
12 years younger than me.
that's the other thing. I
Uh, 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 uh.
I do not want to get married again
Well, then why did you say that?
because that's exactly where you go when you think about having a partnership. I don't want to have a piece of paper. I just want to have an agreement with the person who lives with me about how we're going to conduct our partnership.
Well, then what difference does it make if you marry or not? So if you meet the perfect guy, okay, this is for another day, but here's what we will discuss amongst ourselves later. If you meet the perfect guy and he says, "Yeah, we can do all that, but I do want a piece of paper," you're going to say, "No, really?"
No, if he insists on a
Yeah,
piece
see.
of paper, I'd be okay with that. But I just don't know very many men that insist on a piece of paper.
So what you're saying is that I don't want to get married unless I meet the right guy. Touche, parlay,
I can
touche.
be with the right. Look at Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell. They're together and they're with the right people.
But they're in agreement about that. I'm saying if you meet the right guy and he wants to get married, you're not going to tell him no.
Yeah, probably not.
Yes, okay. I won this argument too. Undefeatable.
All right. So now that we have bored you to death, I hope you had a nice nap. And it's time to wake up. Your 15 minutes are done.
Yep.
So turn us off.
And we'll have some more herbal Lou talking about herbs here soon. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a new one next week on Blog Talk Radio, Herbaloo Apothecary. But I
Yeah, I
still
get the dredges. I have the
she gets
leftovers.
the
She does
dredges.
them.
Yeah.
And
So
then she comes to me and goes,
you and
"Oh,
I,
please,
hush, shut up.
you said let me talk."
We're gonna talk about sage, oregano, turmeric, and I've got one on star anise and a couple of others that I have actually electronically saved.
Cool. Well, we got plenty of time to do it. So stay tuned.
All
Tell
right.
everybody bye.
Bye now.
See y'all.